Welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Rabbit Hole Podcast. I am your host, CSD Fantasy. Hello, Fantasy Faithfuls, and welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Rabbit Hole Podcast. My name is CSD Fantasy, and I am joined by the one and only Nick Faber and the Coin Master, Matt Williams. How are y'all doing?
Doing great. You know, over there, Matt's apparently not doing that great, but
I was told I always seem like I'm too close, so I was like I should do the show here, and they're like, oh, you look up front, so I'm like, I don't know, I'm going to do the show up here. Is this okay with everybody?
You can kind of, with your light, you get like 4 or 5 different complexions depending on if you're up close or
my light. Oh, my interrogation light.
Color.
Okay.
Where were you on March 27th of 2018?
Can't see anymore.
I can't be up too close because then you start seeing like all the freaking weird imperfections. If you haven't watched this show before, we don't have a makeup team before the shows, so you can actually see that we are real people.
But I do have a yellow highlighter. I mean, I don't know if that'll help.
I got like lotion or something.
Lotion. I'm covered with yellow highlighter. Nick's covered with lotion. What is this show?
What is this show?
This show is fantastic because we have a great one for y'all here today. But feel free to interrupt at any point in the live chat. We are here to serve. But before we get into today's show, I would like to remind you to hit that like button, share on social media to help us get the word out there. Subscribe if you haven't done so, and check out tcfantasy.com for even more fantasy content. And now, to the news.
This is where there's a drop we can't hear.
I know, I forget about that.
They can still hear you, Matt, so that's fine.
Hey, did I ruin the drop? I'm sorry.
It's okay. Now that Nate's not here, we can actually almost get through a full drop.
Oh, almost. It was
Almost
close.
a full drop of
Give us another year. We might be able to get through it.
Eventually, we will do it. And it's hilarious because usually, I think last week we had like a 30-minute segment before we even got to the news. If we even did get to the news. But I wanted to hit on some things real quick before we got into the meat of the show. And I hinted this before the show to Nick and Matt, so they don't know. Well, they just found out that I have this as a news item. Devonta Freeman is having a discussion with the Atlanta Falcons if he's going to stick around. And that got me thinking, there's another running back that is having a similar discussion with his team, the LA Rams, and Todd Gurley. How do you guys feel about a little swap? You have the former Georgia Bulldogs player, Todd Gurley, available to potentially go to the Atlanta Falcons, a team that's been struggling to fill seats over the last year or so. And definitely Atlanta is a town that is kind of, speaking as a Braves fan, we like teams that win. Unfortunately, we've kind of been starved of that. If you can't fill the seats with Todd Gurley, how do y'all feel about it? Matt, what are your first initial thoughts of a swap like that?
I think it's going to be really hard to fill all the seats with Todd Gurley. That just seems very difficult to do. I don't know. I think there's probably better use of funds than going that direction. It's certainly an upgrade as Devonta Freeman. We were joking before. I don't think he'd crack the Georgia Bulldogs at this point. When you first said a swap, I thought you meant Freeman going to the Rams. I'm like, that doesn't really work out for the Rams very well.
Yeah, no. Just in general, like trading for Gurley and letting Devonta go.
I guess I'm against it only because I'm not sure that's going to solve their problems. That's all. It would definitely be an upgrade, but I would think just either going in the draft or going an alternate direction would be a better way to go. That's really for any team. As far as right now, Todd Gurley is not a person I'd be looking to add on my team.
Are you thinking for football purposes? Mine was more of a commercial, which is a weird take to have here on a fantasy football show.
Oh yeah, if you're in Atlanta and you pick up Todd Gurley, you're gonna probably get excited, even if like at first glance you're gonna be like, oh, what is this? You'll talk yourself into it, but I don't know. It's a no for me.
Nick?
Yeah, I don't legitimately see that actually being a possibility. He's worth way too much money right now. But
he costs too much. Not worth and cost are different.
Yeah, excuse me. I'm sorry. You're right. Thank you, man. He costs too much money. He is not worth as much money as he's getting paid. But hypothetically, this happens. I do think that it would get a little bit more buzz from the Atlanta fans and get people in, and can see why they would want to do it. I think it would be not to be honest. I don't think it'd be that much of an upgrade from Devonta Freeman. I really don't. Todd Gurley is done for. The only reason he was somewhat like fantasy startable was the 11, 10, 9 touchdowns that he had. And that became from the Los Angeles offense. I don't think that we would see as many touchdowns in the Atlanta offense for Todd Gurley. We're also just seeing him decline heavily right before our eyes. So, yes, I think it would sell jerseys off the bat, probably a couple more season tickets here or there, but will it win more games, which ultimately wins you more money? No, not at all. You got to go young. Get Swift. Or Akers. Someone.
It would be fun, though. But another one who's from the SEC is Tua, who is now reported healthy. And we're going to talk more about quarterbacks later on, but there's been a specific... There was a show a few weeks ago where Nick brought up Tua and the Lions. And now with him being healthy, I was wondering if you could remember what you were talking about then, about maybe trading. How do you feel the Lions should position at pick 3 with the reports that Tua is healthy?
Well, as we've all clearly, as we all should know, I've stated that I believe the Redskins will be the team that end up trading to Miami, and Chase Young will fall to Detroit. But let's just say it goes Burrow, then Young. At the 3 spot, I don't like the idea of trying to trade back. At this point, you have a generational quarterback who it's extremely rare to get into the top 3. It's extremely rare to get into the top 3 of the draft pick when there's phenomenal quarterbacks coming out, 1, 2, 3 of them. And sure, there's a lot of busts, but there's a lot more busts for quarterbacks that come later in the draft than in the top 3 picks. So I don't know if I believe in Matthew Stafford. Like I believe in him. I want him to see him succeed, even if that doesn't mean he's in Detroit succeeding. But what I don't want is for Detroit to bank on him and him to get another back injury for the 3rd year in a row and truly show us that he's not capable to play again. And I don't think that's the case, but I'm scared. Back injuries don't just go away. We've seen 2 of them in 2 consecutive years. Why not just draft Tua? At this point, you still can let him sit. And in a year, you can talk, like his value is not going to decrease sitting for a year. It won't. At that point, you do what Kansas City did and get rid of someone, Alex Smith, who's definitely not as good as Matthew Stafford, I understand. But see if you can ship Stafford. His dead cap space to Detroit will be extremely low, where right now I believe it's like $16 million if you get rid of him this year. It's like $5 million next year. And don't quote me on those numbers, but it's in that range. But so if you can keep him this year and say Stafford does great and wins a playoff game or 2, now his value is up. Like you still have Tua. There's no problem to have an excess of quarterbacks. And the best thing about it, drafting a quarterback in the 1st round this year, you can get that 5th year still. And who knows at the CBA next year if that's going to continue. I don't think it will. I think you're going to see it drop to 4 years, any quarterback drafted in the 1st, not 5. So this is the perfect time to, like, all the stars. Last year, people were raving for Tua. He was the man. He hurt his shoulder, and Joe Burrow became the man. Now you got a chance to let Tua fall to 3, and you are sitting there. You have the best opportunity to get him. So in my opinion, I think you absolutely need to take the chance. But what will happen is we'll trade away. But really, we'll get Chase Young because Tua's going to.
Just to clarify, too, that if the Detroit Lions cut Matthew Stafford pre-June 1st before the 2021 season, it'll be a $19 million cap hit. It's 2022 where it's a $6 million cap hit.
Is it Stafford. 2 years? Okay, yeah, so 2 years.
But I don't think that's necessarily going to hurt you that much if we're going to go down this rabbit hole a little bit. Because if you cut Matthew Stafford for $19 million in dead money for 2021, you're still saving $14 million on the cap that you can then use next year when he's only, like, you know, it'll be a tiny cap hit in dead money the year after that as well. But then you're going to have so much money because you have a rookie quarterback.
I also don't think that Stafford would get cut. I think there are teams out there that would trade something for him.
Yeah, but you still have to take the cap hit for a trade.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
It's.
I guess you were saying cut, and I was like, wait a minute. No, he's not. But yeah, you're right.
My bad. It's
okay.
It's the same cap hit Pretty much, if you trade him pre-June 1st, before 2020.
Which, by the way, cap hit is the dumbest thing in the world, and the NFL rules for this kind of shit is so stupid.
Yeah.
Which we will have a full episode on later on this season that I just planned 15-20 minutes ago and said we're doing a full cap hit.
Hey, before we move on from Tua, there's a 0% chance he gets to 3. Knowing what we know now, if he gets past the combine with no red flags, 0% chance he makes it past 2. 0%.
I literally called that in the beginning of January, and everyone's like, Redskins will never trade. They got Chase Young. And it's like, no, dude, you don't see these kind of quarterbacks every year. Someone's going up to 2 to get him. I can guarantee it. Whether it's the Panthers, the Chargers, the Dolphins, the Bears, right now, there's talks of Khalil Mack being on the board and multiple first rounders for this guy. Like, there's no way he gets to 3. So Chase Young.
Washington, you take that.
Yeah, I agree. But the first rounders are in 2 and 3 years, not next year. What are your thoughts? So 2022, 2023 first rounders and Khalil Mack.
For Washington, no, I would think that they would want more picks this year.
Agreed. I was just throwing it out there. I just want to see.
And then what? I'm sorry, but what are they gonna do with Khalil Mack?
Yeah, I'm saying if you're taking Mack, you're doing that with the thoughts that you're bringing in, infusing talent this season to hopefully go for it in the next couple. So you don't want to take him now, skip this year, and then have to wait. So it's like, yeah, you can't really do that.
Yeah, the team that could do that would oddly be the Detroit Lions. I mean, if you're like, okay, we can give up the 3rd overall to get Mack and a bunch of first overall picks in the future, because then you can be like, well, we're gambling. Matthew Stafford will take us this time.
I really wouldn't rule that out, because if you're Washington and you're like, oh, we really want Chase Young, but we're being offered all this stuff. If Detroit is willing to prevent you from even doing that and giving you like free assets to be able to take the guy you want anyway at 3, I wouldn't rule that out necessarily. It doesn't happen often, but I could see that for sure, moving up one spot just to kill it. Then Washington gets their guy and gets a bunch of free stuff.
Yeah. It'd be interesting.
No, I was thinking that the Lions would get Khalil Mack and bet on Stafford being healthy.
Well, that would be cool.
I don't think that the Bears would trade to the Lions, but they would, in my opinion, they would be the team that could make the case like, well, Stafford just needs to stay healthy. If we can get Khalil Mack, we're actually a contender. They could make that case for themselves the same way that the Cowboys drafted Ezekiel Elliott. Like, we don't really need a quarterback. We need somebody to block for Romo and run the football. Well, Romo went out. But, that logic of this is what we need to take us over the top. And I feel like the Lions would be that team. The Redskins are definitely not that team. The Dolphins are not that team. The Bengals are not that team. Like, they don't have enough firepower on their roster right now. They can't be, I mean, they probably wouldn't want Khalil Mack, if that makes sense. I mean, everybody would want him, but they don't necessarily need him to make a run for it, and I don't think he would go to a team that is not trying to make a run for it.
Yeah, he's there. If you're getting Khalil Mack, you're definitely in win now mode for sure.
Yeah, that was the point that I was trying to make.
Long story short, you got to be.
We spent a half hour on Devontae Freeman getting traded, Khalil Mack getting traded, and Tua getting to 3, none of which are going to happen. Happy analyst stuff.
This is the
happy
off-season, people. If you haven't noticed, this is the off-season. It's difficult. It's difficult to fill airtime of fantasy, so you have to go. And this is why the rabbit hole is perfect, because we go down the hole. Like, if you think we're 6 feet under, haven't even started digging when we were at 12. We'll go all the way down to Australia. That's how deep we go.
Carl,
I don't know where we're going with that, but I'm with you.
I lost this rabbit hole, man.
That's all I'm trying to say. That's all I'm trying to say. That is a good name for the show. Speaking of show, we do have a weekly topic for today. So let's get into the weekly topic. And I don't think we've ever hit the weekly topic at minute 15, by the way.
Oh, a couple. Weekly topic.
Did you say a minute 15?
We've done 15 minutes and we've never hit the weekly topic.
I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, my stopwatch is broken. So, all right, let's do it.
Let's do
the topic. talking over the drop.
Because that's what we do.
I mean, yeah, that is what we do. So the weekly topic is quarterbacks on the move. There's so many moving pieces right now for quarterbacks, so I wanted to talk on them. And I wanted us to pick a quarterback and what team we think that they would be a great fit for and why, or a team or a team where we think that they would be a terrible fit for and why that is the case. And I thought we should start with the one and only Nick Faber.
All right. So the guy I'm kind of most interested in is a guy that I've hated for a long time. But now with him hopefully leaving town, finding a new helmet, getting a new life behind him, I think that we're going to see a little bit better Marcus Mariota. The reason I like Marcus is Tennessee wasn't the right fit for him, and it never was. He never had that running back he could check down to, and that's what he needs most of all. He's good in the red zone. He's not the best, and I understand it, but I truly think it was because he was in Tennessee. So one of the things that I like about him as well is the team that signs him is not going to be trying to sign a starting quarterback. He is not going to go for starting quarterback money. He is going to be one of the cheapest number 2 draft picks in recent memory. And I think it's going to be a steal for a few teams. So teams that might need a backup consist of the Jets. They don't want to fall into another Luke Falk possession. I understand they got Sam Darnold, but after last year's debacle, you don't want to be without a backup quarterback. I think Marcus, for a cheap price, will end up going there. Las Vegas, same thing. I just feel like John Gruden would be the guy to reach out to Marcus Mariota and bring him in and let him compete behind Derek Carr. The Chargers, I don't know what's going on with Tyrod Taylor. I don't know. Phillip Rivers is gone. I have to assume they're going to be drafting a quarterback unless they want to try to sign one of the guys that won't be tagged. Indy, obviously, they're probably going to be looking for another quarterback. I don't know if Marcus Mariota would be a great fit there, but it's in division, somewhat close to where he already has his home set up and everything. So just an idea, players like to stay in there. A few more. Dallas, if they end up getting rid of Dak somehow for a tag and trade or just don't do anything with them, that's a team. Seattle, I could always see Pete Carroll spending a cheap amount of money on getting them. Chicago, New Orleans, and then my favorite one, which you said actually earlier, Carl, so I hate to steal it from you, but Carolina. And I think if you can put Marcus Mariota in Carolina, he is going to be set up for major success. With Matt Rule there, with Christian McCaffrey, the perfect running back for Marcus Mariota, who's always had Derrick Henry to throw to, can't catch a cold. Now you got fucking Christian McCaffrey. That's going to pad his stats. That's going to give him confidence. That's going to make him feel more confident putting tight throws through to Ian Thomas, DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel. There's a ton of weapons around him. If they can build the offensive line through the draft, spend cheap for Marcus Mariota, and be able to sign big for defense via free agency, I think this team is poised to kind of break through where Atlanta's going down. They're on a decline. New Orleans is on a decline if Drew Brees does. If he comes back, then obviously they'll probably win the division. But if he doesn't come back, they're on a decline. And we don't know what's happening in Tampa Bay. So I think for Carolina to succeed this year and be in win now real quick, I think it's Marcus Mariota.
Let me just shut down the whole Marcus Mariota, and I'm not even going to pick a team. I'm just going to shut it down completely and say he is terrible. He is just terrible. He couldn't even, you said couldn't catch a cold? Well, Marcus Mariota can't throw to anybody.
Marcus Mariota threw a touchdown to himself in a playoff game.
Marcus Mariota
doesn't need it. He didn't have anyone around him. He had to literally throw the ball to himself to score. Now believe me, I'm not going to sit here and stand up for Marcus Mariota. I know he sucks.
Thank you.
But I think a lot of it has to do with the team he was on. And the pressure
Ryan Tannehill didn't make that team any relevant.
But Tannehill didn't have the pressure that Marcus Mariota did. You're overlooking that. That plays into your head. Marcus Mariota drafted second overall, went 3 straight years winning with a winning record. So it's with a shitty team around him.
Is no pressure taking over for Cam Newton? One of the most
No, there
biggest
isn't.
players over the last, maybe not the last 2 years, but he was freaking a huge name.
But NFL is recent memory, man. That MVP is out of Cam Newton is a nobody now. Cam Newton
not in Carolina.
He is a nobody. He won't be signed as a starter. I can promise you that.
Okay, let me just, as I always do, let me just add a couple of stats. There's, looking at it, short throws to the left. There's not a single quarterback in the league with a lower completion percentage. Short throws
Because
to the
who's he
right.
throwing to? Derrick
Short throws
Henry.
to the right. No other has a lower than Marcus Mariota. Mariota has a 14% accuracy when he's throwing deep left. 14%. Let me see what Ryan Tannehill has. Tannehill, 14% was Mariota. Oh, 47. 47. Ryan Tannehill, short passes, 88% to the left, 72 to the right. Mariota is 57. It's not even a competition. Why would he improve any team? Any team. Joe Flacco made his wide receivers better than Marcus Mariota last year. And I'm very passionate about this, Nick. I don't think I've ever been this passionate.
It's good, baby.
In case the listeners don't know who we're talking about, we're going hot take here and telling you that Marcus Mariota is bad.
Yeah, and again,
if you can believe it.
For him. I definitely will stand up for him, but I think put into a new position, a new team with a brand new coach who's going to come in with this extremely creative mindset, unlike every coach that poor Marcus Mariota has ever had. Like he has the potential. Obviously, he was number 2 draft pick to succeed, and Carolina is the perfect opportunity for him. He'll be signed. Obviously, he'll be low enough because the money that teams will make a will go get him. He's going to end up starting, and Carolina's the best place for him. No team is going to suit him better. So where I think he's going to be best is Carolina.
By the way, less than like a 10% chance of starting anywhere.
No, he won't start to start the season. Sorry, he'll start at some point though. There will be an injury. You will see Marcus Mariota starting in the NFL again.
I think he'll be I think he'll be a QB2 on a playoff caliber team. That's where I think he'll end up. But yeah, I mean, there you go.
If I have to pick a team, I'm all with Nick on the Panthers, but I have to agree with Matt and say that he probably will go to a contender. Blake Bortles
I think backing up Russell Wilson is his spot. Yes. That's where he needs to go.
That's exactly why I put Seattle on there, because I think that's a perfect spot for him. But I also think Chicago would be a great opportunity with him and Matt Nagy. I think those two could do wonders together.
I like that.
Think of the difference of coaching from Matt Nagy to Mike Vrabel. Like think of how those offenses run. Like that's just not how Marcus Mariota played. He was never that play action, stand in the pocket. Like he used his legs, and that's not what Tennessee ever wanted. That's not what Mike Mularkey wanted. That's not what Mike Vrabel wanted. You get him to a coach that can like suit his needs. He's much better than what we're saying. Like he's the number 2 quarterback. He went there and win a championship, or did he end up losing it? He lose to Ohio State, right?
In Oregon.
I don't remember if he won a national championship or not. But regardless, he's a damn good quarterback if he's put in a position to win. He was put in a position that didn't suit him in Tennessee, and I think we give him a lot of we don't take that in consideration because we just look at the stats and we see the fantasy numbers and we're like, bah, he sucks. But it's like, dude, we got to make sure we realize that he just wasn't right for him. Now, if he goes to a team like Chicago and excuse me, I was about to say some bad words there. If he goes to Chicago and does not do well, then yeah, it's just that's Blake Bortles right there. You know what I mean? Like, boom, he sucks. But I think there's at least one more chance for him.
But I'm just worried, like looking at the numbers, you say it wasn't a good fit. It was just such a bad fit. Like the only one I have with a lower floor over the last 3 years. Well, looking at the numbers for this year, and sure, Dwayne Haskins hasn't played that much games, but he's the only one with a lower floor than Marcus Mariota going into the 2020 season, and I'm scared to start him. Like
I would never start him in fantasy,
and I think he would if he goes to a team and they're like we're gonna start Marcus Mariota, whatever. The stock of those wide receivers, and I think that's the point too. We're not just having hot takes that Marcus Mariota is terrible. I'm saying I'm pretty high on DJ Moore right now. If he goes to Carolina, I'm gonna have to get off the DJ Moore train.
I don't know.
I don't know how you can be possibly that high on DJ Moore when everyone else, because I don't see them getting a quarterback that's going to make me excited.
That's exactly like
there's Kyle like Allen. No one unless Cam Newton comes back healthy, which I don't see. I don't see anyone coming in there in 2020 that I'm going to be that happy with. Phillip Rivers would like not be awful, but the ceiling would be killed. I mean, honestly, the only thing that I'd be happy with in like for the Chargers or for Tampa Bay or for Carolina is if Tennessee somehow is stupid, tags Henry and lets Tannehill go, which they're not going to. They're going to tag Tannehill. Tannehill's the only free agent quarterback that I have any interest in from a fantasy perspective besides Jameis, but his best fit is probably to go back to Tampa Bay. So, I mean, I don't know. Move Jameis to Carolina too. That'd be okay from a fantasy perspective, but overall, it's just...
But I'm almost...
I don't see Kyle Allen.
Cool with a lot of quarterbacks going to Panthers, to Carolina, and still... make DJ Moore relevant. Like I'm cool with Andy Dalton, Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Well, Andy Dalton's not really a free agent, right?
Yeah, sure, okay, but
I would agree there if he were available. I'd throw him on there too.
Yeah, and what else do we have? Teddy Bridgewater is my wet dream for Carolina. I think he would be a fantastic fit.
I disagree. I'd rather have Mariota than Teddy. Actually, I don't know. I don't want to say that per se, but I don't think Teddy Bridgewater is going to add a lot of fantasy value to that team at all. No, Teddy Bridgewater is not a fantasy.
For DJ Moore, it would be fantastic, in my opinion.
How would you feel about DJ Moore if Tom Brady went there?
Oh, sign me up.
No, what? Tom Brady sucks, dude. He is a bad quarterback now. Like,
I'm not saying I would like it. It wouldn't keep me from drafting anyone, but I wouldn't be excited about. Like, I wouldn't be excited about anyone going there. Really,
I would be more excited for Julian Edelman with Tom Brady than I would be DJ Moore with Tom Brady. I'll tell you that right now.
Okay, fair enough.
Tom Brady's gonna go to Carolina and he's gonna throw a noodle arm out there. We saw last year he didn't have it. He just didn't.
But
I'm sorry.
Like, give me Jacoby Brissett on the Carolina Panthers, and I'm fine with DJ Moore. Like, that's how high I am.
Oh yeah, I'm not off DJ Moore. I'm just saying that there's nothing. The day a quarterback signs there, I think we're all going to be like, even though we see the options now, I think a quarterback will sign there, and everyone that day will be like, "Oh, DJ Moore" with the down emoji, you know. I think that's what's going to happen because I think there's not too many scenarios I see that are going to be happy scenarios.
In my latest mock draft, I have Carolina drafting Jordan Love, and I think that's what's going to happen.
And he coming from Will Grier.
Yeah. Well, Kyle Allen.
I'm too excited about DJ Moore right now. Like, that's just.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, and I like.
Yeah, he's good. I got. No, I didn't get him. I did. I got him in our draft, man.
For the record, I don't want it to come off like I didn't like DJ Moore. No matter who's there, he's fine. It's just we'd like him to be better than fine, and the better than fine doesn't appear to be in the cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we have a couple of questions. I'm just gonna finish out the DJ Moore hot take before we move on. He has the second most targets to the short left zone with 75% catch rate. That's insane. And if you compare that with somebody, if you pair him with somebody like Mariota who can't complete a pass there, I'm not too excited. Give me Jacoby Brissett, who has like 75% completion rate there, and DJ Moore handle the rest. Just get the ball in his hands. But speaking of hands, no, this is a terrible segment. We got Nicholas Carone joining the stream, so we're gonna say hi to Nicholas. What's up? And
it's a powerful name.
It sure is. For the first time though, in the chat, we got Kyle Richardson joining in. What's up, Kyle? Happy to have you on board. Question for Mr. Faber: how much prep time does it take to look that good on camera? Asking for a friend. Also, I literally pop in and hear "wet dream." Perfect timing. Yeah, my bad. Sometimes it shines through that I'm not a native English speaker, that I have some terminology that doesn't add up.
Not to mention anyone who just walked in, all they heard was Nick looks good on camera and wet dream next to each other coming from you. So, I mean, thank you for listening to the Fantasy Rabbit Hole. Good night, everybody.
But Nick, you have to answer this question though, Nick. How long does it take to look this good on camera?
Well, like you said, we don't have a makeup team, so I have to do it myself.
Got that lotion next to you, right?
I got my lotion right next to me, so I got to lotion up a little bit. I don't have the makeup team, so I'm putting the blush on, the eyeliner on. Probably a good 45 minutes for an average Joe, but I can get it done in about 35.
Oof, impressive. This what I'm rocking is my I'm tired look. You can see under my eyes, you got a couple of blemishes from me having a cheat day. Yeah, that's me. What about you, Matt? How long does it take?
It's kind of complicated. Like I'll wait. I'll look after dinner. I'll look at my phone, and Nick will be like, "All right, let's start the show," and I'll put on my hat and then walk in here.
Ooh, so that takes like hour and a half
minimum. Dep- Depends on if I forget why I walked in here or not.
Oh, yeah, what did I get in here? I got a hat on.
Yeah, I know. Oh shit, the hat's on. Time for the show.
It must be for the show. Yeah.
Let's talk about another quarterback that I've picked for this exercise or whatever you want to call it, and I want to go with the draft buddy of Marcus Mariota. I have to go Jameis Winston, and I want him to go to the Los Angeles Chargers. And I'm gonna use that thing that I said with Todd Gurley. The Chargers need to sell tickets. New stadium. I think people would be interested in seeing Winston throwing 30-plus touchdowns and 30-plus interceptions in LA. Add that the team already has plenty of skill position players that Winston could target. You have Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, potentially Melvin Gordon, Hunter Henry, and I can just see Mike Williams taking a huge leap forward with Jameis Winston under center. I got even some numbers with it. Keenan Allen, if we just give him 100 targets with Phillip Rivers, he would roughly gain 960 yards. With Winston and the same targeting and passing trends, he would gain 1,093. So it's about 130-something yards better with Winston. Mike Williams, though, he would go up roughly 180 yards from 180 to 1,240. So 1,080 to 1,240.
Problem with projecting stats, Winston's stats onto people is that it's not season long. You can't do it because you're going to 120 yards, 0 yards, 120 yards, 0 yards.
Too, though.
No, I get that. It's just, just look at Mike Evans and Godwin. He doesn't seem to be able to, maybe it's because he was blind. He can only see one guy at a time. But for a week to week things, that's just a thing in fantasy a lot of people don't do as far as consistency and stuff.
And we just talked about that in last week's episode. It's just consistency. You're taking that out of it. I think that would be good for Winston to go to the Chargers season long wise, but man, you're going to have a roller coaster of a season with Williams and Allen.
And you can add that I'd rather take the roller coaster with Winston, and I'm a freaking safe floor kind of guy, than taking the safe, terrible floor of Phillip Rivers. I can go on about Phillip Rivers, how terrible he is.
We can agree on that.
Him and Marcus Mariota, and I'll do a freaking hour podcast by myself about how much they're terrible for fantasy. Phillip Rivers, get him as far away from my fantasy receivers as possible. I don't want to see him close to that. It's
why?
Ugly.
I know he was terrible, but he was a year removed where he started the first 8 games as an MVP candidate the previous year. He just was. You can't really argue it if you look. And then all of a sudden, no one in the world believes him leaving, what appeared to be a bad situation. It didn't appear they parted on very happy terms. Would anyone be? I'm with you that he was bad, and I wouldn't be excited where he went. But if he ended up doing well in Carolina or Tampa Bay or wherever the heck, would anyone really be that shocked? From a consistency standpoint, if Godwin and Evans ended up doing okay with him, I'm not saying it's perfect, but it wouldn't shock me if it was fine there. So I think if he goes to Tampa Bay, his stock is going to go up.
If he goes to Tampa Bay, I'm giving Rivers a higher stock, or I'm more excited about him, and I'm way less excited about Evans and Godwin. You remove the deep ball.
Who would you of the real? Continue here too. But who would you rather see there of likely people to actually go there?
To Tampa.
If considering Winston's gone, Breeze is probably going back to New Orleans or retiring. Dak's going back to Dallas. Tannehill's going back to Tennessee. Who would you rather see there that would really be that more exciting than Rivers?
Oh, that's a tough one though. I would probably go with Brissett again.
Really? I'd rather have Rivers. If you owned Godwin or Evans, you'd rather see Brissett come in there than Rivers for 2020?
Yeah.
How about you, Nick?
I'm that low on Rivers right now.
Wait, is Brissett's not a free agent though?
No, they're saying if they decided to move, he's just throwing it as a hypothetical, Andy Dalton type stuff. But of anyone who's realistically free, I think Rivers is the guy.
Yeah.
That you want if you're a Tampa Bay wide receiver owner,
I'd much rather have Jameis.
Yeah. I think that too, but I think that it's pretty clear Bruce Arians hates him.
Yeah, I don't think he's coming back. So now, though Rivers might not be great, he is definitely the best chance. And he has let Keenan Allen was a top 6 wide receiver. I mean, like Mike Williams was a top 15 wide receiver last year. Like it's not like him going there is gonna tank Chris Godwin to be the 38th wide receiver and Mike Evans to be the 40th. Like both of them are talented wide receivers. But Marcus Mariota can still have them being top 15, 20 wide receivers. I know Phillip Rivers will be able to. But you guys know that we already got into that where I like Phillip Rivers. I don't mind him at Tampa Bay at all. In fact, I encourage it. I need them to get a running back to go along with it. Bring Melvin Gordon with you, Phil, and let's just make the Los Angeles Buccaneers. Let's go. That would be fun. I think that would be a good team.
Yeah, if they can get a running back, I might can get on board.
I think they will. I think they will. I think they will.
And you can't do it in the draft. You got to sign someone, and there's not a lot out there.
Yeah.
We already saw that you can't draft running backs.
We're losing you, Matt, a little bit. Come back to us.
You losing me?
Yeah, you're back now. You're back.
Matt, don't go!
There was a lot of LASIK jokes today. I mean, after the LASIK things came out, there was really a million of the 30-30, 20-20 jokes, and it was, everyone said that within 15 seconds. The best tweet I saw all day was this, and it's very simple, but it made me spit out my drink. It's just, its simplicity is perfect. Jameis Winston being blind is the least surprising thing I've ever heard. I don't know. That cracked me up because it's just so on the nose and perfect. Jameis Winston being blind is the least surprising thing I've ever heard. So good. I mean, don't overthink it, folks. Simple jokes are classic.
And then look at all the pictures of him squinting, and it's bad. But I remember I've done LASIK, and I used to have to sit at the front of the front row in school growing up, and why do you always want to sit in the front? Freak, I can't see otherwise. Gone to the eye doctor, and they're like, "No, you're fine. Got glasses, and I'm like, "Holy crap! It's a whole new world." I didn't realize the trees had leaves that were defined before. It was more how kids draw trees, just squiggly. So I completely understand the whole Jameis squinting thing, and I think that's actually gonna improve him a little bit. It's a whole new world, unless he developed astigmatism, which is a whole new difficult problem.
Where's the lad?
Don't do that. If you saw the latest news that what Disney does to people.
What does Disney do? I didn't see that news. No.
Oh no. Elementary school in California are getting sued for $250 because they showed the Lion King at the school to have donations from parents and stuff. So don't even think about doing a Disney theme here on the show.
Question.
Yes.
For any lawyers out there watching the show, how much does it cost to sue somebody for $250? I'm assuming more than $250. Are they just looking to bankrupt the school and embarrass them?
How much money does that school have left? They're only on their last $250. We'll take it.
Yeah, I know. That's our two. You mean our $250? Yeah.
They've literally become the bad person in a Disney movie themselves. We want the last $250 you have.
That's why South Park's episode with Mickey Mouse is the best.
Who?
Mickey Mouse?
Who? Don't mention his name. He'll show up.
Oh, yeah. Damn it, Carl. Sometimes I don't remember. You get me, dude. You get me. You're great.
I for only a second, maybe two, thought you legitimately did not know who Mickey Mouse was.
I was like, Carl, you know who this is, right? Okay, but you do. You're right. All right.
I'm like,
I have my cultural blind spots, but Mickey.
For anyone who is watching and doesn't know, Carl, from from Sweden, right? I was gonna say something.
Northern country of Sweden.
There we go.
I noticed before I get into the worst landing spot for Jameis Winston, I want to mention I was looking at Instagram at CSD Fantasy and answering questions on there, and this team of 3 guys from Finland pop up, and they've started a Finnish fantasy football podcast from over there,
awesome.
And that's awesome. Freaking dope. I'm gonna try to see if we can have them on or something in the future, but it would be so cool. They just started out; they have 40 followers, and I shouted them out. I thought it was freaking awesome.
That's sweet. Yeah, I like that.
before you go on to the worst spot for Jameis Winston, do you want to know truly the best one? And this, of course, if you can't tell, is going to be a joke. Goes to New England, throws a perfect passer rating for 16 games, wins a championship. That's how that would be the perfect thing. Everyone would be totally losing their shit, while I would just be laughing the entire time. That would be classic.
That would be hilarious, dude.
People would just be like, "What is happening?"
Bill
Belichick. Tom Brady's legacy would be tainted if Belichick was able to do that.
Exactly. We will start to the argument that he's a system quarterback will flourish. It will reboot. That's hilarious.
Brady goes to the Raiders and just 0-16. Winston drives to New England to the playoffs. It'd be wild.
I'm actually all aboard for this now, just because I was always in the Manning versus Brady camp. I was always Team Manning. He's the greatest of all time. So, and after all the other rings, that conversation has kind of gone quiet.
More. Yeah.
If Andy Dalton or Jameis Winston comes in and goes 16-0, then it's another conversation.
That's awesome. I like that idea.
Gronk back on the team too, when you.
What are the chances that Tom Brady returns to New England, guys? What do we think? What do we put on him?
98%.
I go 75%.
I go 50%. I don't think he's coming back.
Why would he want more money now? He's all about winning, and his best shot for.
But he ain't gonna win there. That's the issue. I think he'd either want money or he just. I don't know.
Is he winning on the Chargers? Is he winning on the Raiders? I'm confused.
Who are they going to have to beat at this point? Kansas City, they're all going to have to do it. It's not New England anymore. New England's not that top dog. I really think he wants to go and kind of enjoy his final seasons in the NFL. Obviously we all learned that playing in New England is not fun. It's fun after the fact when you have that Super Bowl ring, but a quick month and a half later, you're not having fun again for your life. It's a very tough team to play for. And I think Tom Brady might want to go to a different team. I truly think that he's going to go to a different team and kind of see how John Gruden runs his team or something like that.
The thing with that is everyone brings that up because it makes sense on the surface, but I don't think there's any chance that Tom Brady goes to a team with a less than perfect offensive line. Yeah. And they have a bad one there in Las Vegas. So I don't see why you'd want to leave New England with the sole purpose of winning a Super Bowl, or at least proving you can win without Belichick, and then go into a place you're going to be on your ass that much.
The whole time.
The Chargers are, on Pro Football Focus, I believe, are ranked, their offensive line over the last 3 years, 31st, 31st, and 30th.
Shout out Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, he is... Austin Eckler and Melvin Gordon have done an incredible job. I think his pass blocking, I'm not sure about run blocking, but pass blocking, they've been terrible. Maybe I should give Phillip Rivers a little bit more credit than I do then. Damn it.
You know how most of the country hates Tom Brady just from being fans of other teams, just jealousy and just hating him. This is how you go full heel. You're leaving New England, everyone's really surprised. You're going to hate this, by the way. Boot Dak out. And then Jerry Jones brings in Tom Brady, and you guys win a Super Bowl with Brady. Tom Brady, the most hated guy who ever lived in sports history.
Goes to the most beloved team. Yes, I said it.
I mean, people would hate that. Watching him march the Cowboys there and win it, that would be gold too. I'd enjoy that as well.
I would feel dirty. I would literally feel dirty.
Yeah, you'd feel dirty while you're polishing the. No, actually, would you enjoy it? It'd be weird, right?
What, Matt? Polishing what? Finish the sentence, or otherwise it's just weird.
The Lombardi Trophy.
Oh my, he's roster baby.
If you won with him, would you? I mean, I think you'd be on board at a certain point.
Would I though? Oof. It's I don't know.
I guess that's
I've
gone the Cowboys fans will be trolled by it. Is this happening? Bring Romo back. I don't like this guy, Brady.
I've gone through this in soccer, and it was a guy from my most hated team. He came over to Milan, and me and my dad we can't. He plays for us now, but he just feels wrong. He's a bad guy. And then he left again a year later, and we're like, okay, thank you. We don't have to root for him anymore. And he went back to his old team because he's like, oh, we didn't win. Yeah, you're a mother.
I'll give you another nightmare scenario that you'll probably like more, though. Let's say Tom Brady leads you to the playoffs where, Drew Bledsoe, he gets hurt. and then your backup, Marcus Mariota, comes in and wins you the Super Bowl. How do you feel about that
I'm
one?
more okay with that. I would be okay with Mariota leading us to Super. The best situation would be Brady taking us to the playoffs. In that case, gets hurt. There's nobody to replace him, and they're like, call
Romo?
Tony. Call Tony.
That would be really great.
And he comes down from the booth like I got
Falco
this.
comes out of that'd be good.
He flies down, superhero.
I know, he just grabs onto the wire where the camera is, just down to the field.
And then you play the sound drop that little kid. I want Romo back, and like I'm here.
I love it, dude. I love Romo so much. He's the man. He won me a fantasy championship, so I always had a huge man crush on him since then. That was like in 2010.
Yeah, and he's freak. He got that. That goes back to what we talked about earlier. No, we talked offline about Aaron Rodgers. We really gone down the rabbit hole about quarterbacks and what they have surrounding them, and it's a team game. And I never understood the whole like Romo is not lifting the Cowboys the way he's supposed to, even though like other teams have like actual weapons. He had, Des Bryant and Jason Witten. That was pretty much it until DeMarco Murray started running the ball like crazy. Before that, it wasn't really much happening. And I think segueing that into Winston and a bad fit for him would be to go to the Chicago Bears. They have some nice players like Allen Robinson, Trey Burton, Anthony Miller, sure, but far from what the Bucs have with Evans, Godwin, Perriman, Howard, Brait, and potentially a new running back. I would love to see DJ with the Bucs. And that there potentially would be competition between Trubisky and Winston if he went there. I don't see a scenario where Winston goes to Chicago and they're like, oh, let's trade away Trubisky or let him go. So this would just make the situation uncertain in Chicago, be bad for everyone involved. I think he would raise the scoring of the skill position players, but his own stock would go down significantly if he went to the Bears. How do y'all feel about that? Is there a worse spot for him?
No, I can go with Chicago. That's a bad fit.
Bad.
Not good.
Interestingly enough, people hate Trubisky. I think if they were to get somebody and trade him, his stock would go up. I think that if he ended up going to they ended up going to Tampa Bay, Carolina, San Diego, I think that people would end up being like eyebrow raised, like, hey, maybe getting out of that weird system will serve him. I'm not saying I would be excited. I think it'll just be awful, awful, awful. But I bet people
want to trade for him.
Me either. I'm just saying, people are excited. People love change.
Yeah,
people
you're right.
Love the change.
They love the potential, man. That's what burns people in fantasy.
And it's either like, this is terrible or this is awesome. There's not like, yeah, I can see it being all right.
Yeah.
When you said DJ to Tampa, that would be the only spot that I think that would save his dynasty value. Is there any other place where he'd go where he'd walk in and people would be like, all right, old DJ's coming back? I think Tampa Bay is the one and only spot.
It's literally the only spot.
Right? I can't think of another one.
I'm trying, but it's difficult.
Be maybe successful in Houston.
Yeah. Houston would be interesting.
They got Duke Johnson only to ignore him. I don't know. As long as O'Brien's there, I don't think they're going to change the program, and that program is weird.
Too weird. David Johnson, though, he's on his last leg. I mean, no matter where he goes, I'm sorry, but I'm not buying into him. Tampa, it will intrigue me, but his ADP will jump up too much. I would never jump at him.
Yeah, it has to be for the right price. But if he goes to Tampa, I'm willing to go with him for one more season. I'm willing to do it in Miami.
One other spot. With that offensive line, though?
Yeah, I'm actually willing because
I think he'd be tackled before he got the ball.
Let's assume Miami gets Tua. Then you have Tua there with I could see David Johnson kind of being like a safety net for him.
Because it wouldn't be a running. He would be the pass catching running back, or he would be heavily featured in the passing game. Not so much like, DJ. So I suck at play calling. I'm gonna run you 68% up the middle. That's literally what got him hurt. And
it's not like Miami's offense really staggered towards the end. They came out heavy. They just didn't have a defense, but they were winning games. They were blowing their draft pick the last couple of weeks. So, I mean, that they could potentially be a pretty good fit for DJ. I wouldn't mind that.
There's one other spot I'd be pretty jazzed about, and that's if someone didn't heal very well up in Seattle, and DJ ended up going and replacing Carson, which, again, Carson's probably going to be fine. But Rashad Penny's not going to be a thing. It's never going to happen.
I think
really? I don't think he's ever going to be healthy enough to be a thing. Every time he's given an opportunity, his body's like, nope, I'm going to head out.
I guess I don't think he'll be good for a full year. You're right on that. I can agree with that. But I do think that he's going to give us some top 24 running back production for the next 2 or 3 years because he'll be good when he plays. He just probably won't be able to play 16 games.
I can even see Atlanta being a decent spot, not like a fantastic spot for him.
Jesus, Carl.
For sure. I mean, if they get rid of Freeman, I could definitely see them getting DJ.
I'm saying that the talks are that they're getting rid of him.
I think that'd be my second favorite.
Trade for Gurley, sign David Johnson, get AJ Green.
No, if you guys got DJ, if Atlanta got DJ, that'd be my second favorite realistic spot for him to go.
Yeah, because I don't think they would overpay for him, and he would be like, okay, contender potentially, because Atlanta is either a contender or nothing. Like,
yeah, but they still pad stats too, so you can still get fantasy stats even if they aren't contending. I like that for sure. I would actually like that more than I'd like Todd Gurley.
Yeah, I think that would be a good
for next year. For next year.
Not for 2020.
Well, no, for 2020, not for not for the future. Like yeah, I'd rather have. Though I don't think either of them are playing in 3 years, but I'd rather have Gurley because he has the potential to be.
Yeah, I think David Johnson is a guy you bring on your team for like a mercenary situation right now. It's not, like you don't bring it on to build around or anything like that. And right. he's not gonna go to the Redskins. I don't think so. Like in a team that's like obviously not going to be contending for a playoff spot. Or is that just me?
No, I agree with that. I bet. But the thing is, he better ask for a little amount of money if he wants to go to a team that's about to win now, in my opinion. Because the only teams that will end up paying him are the teams that have a bunch in cap space, and those are normally not the best teams.
So maybe that's what he's looking for then, another paycheck, and then then he can go to where like Miami has a buttload of cap space.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like $90 million or something.
Yeah, it all depends on what he's looking for. For sure, that'll dictate it. But I do like Atlanta, and I do like Tampa Bay for him, for sure.
Yeah, because otherwise, there's not really... Like, I'm looking at cap space and running back needy teams. Yeah. There really just is, like, the Dolphins and Buccaneers.
And there really is no other running back either that is, like, out there besides draft-wise. Derrick Henry, Kenyon Drake, Melvin Gordon.
Isn't Damian a free agent?
I didn't think so.
Is Damian Kareem Hunt? They're not free? Am I nuts?
Kareem Hunt is not.
I think he's the RFA.
Damian Williams. No.
Kareem Hunt is RFA. Austin Eckler, Matt Breida are all restricted free agents.
Yeah.
Corey. Gotcha. But unrestricted, you don't have a ton of options out there. I mean, I don't know. David Johnson. There's not he better ask for a little amount of money if you have to ask me.
Because if we look at like teams with a lot of cap spaces, the Dolphins, Colts, Bills, Buccaneers, Cowboys, Broncos, Giants, Texans, Cardinals, Raiders.
What if the Dolphins draft Tua, sign Derrick Henry?
Ooh.
That would be crazy.
They would revitalize that whole.
People would be buying jerseys left and right for them.
I think Derrick Henry is a smart man. Therefore, he will not be going there.
I don't know. If I'm a running back in today's NFL, I don't care where I'm going. I'm getting my money.
Yeah,
because you are 5 seconds away from losing it,
I do agree with that, but I think there's plenty of teams that are going to be willing to.
Okay, what about not Derrick Henry? But what if they get Tua and Melvin Gordon? Spend big on Melvin. Get Tua there and let those two boys run it for 2 or 3 years. I think that's what you got to do. I think your wide receivers are pretty set if you're Miami. You got some speedsters. You got a good tight end. You need to focus on offensive line. But if you can go and draft Tua and sign a big-name running back, especially one that can catch out of the backfield, so a la not Derrick Henry, but Melvin Gordon, I think you would be in for a hell of a season next year.
And
I'd like that.
You can potentially get, Brandon Scherf, Jack Conklin, some help on the offensive line and free agency as well. if they don't
Yeah.
get signed. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not too familiar with. I would be pretty surprised if Tennessee don't sign Jack Conklin, but they do have some other
They got
players.
a lot of sign. They got a lot of sign.
So I mean, if you wanna, rebuild your whole team in one season, you can like, oh well, we tanked and now we got Tua, Gordon, Conklin, and we're back at it.
Is Ryan Tannehill going to be the next Case Keenum?
No, I think he's better than Keenum ever was. I mean, I think he was good in Miami. He was just.
I agree. I love Tannehill in Miami. I just was.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't think it's a fluke. I think he's good. That's why I'd love to see him leave town. My God, if he went to Carolina, Tampa Bay, or San Diego, woo,
Tannehill at Tampa would be so much fun. Oh my God.
Yeah. But I was trying to look it up. What I was thinking with Jamie Williams, he just has a team option. That's why I had him on my list. He free because he's a team option, but they're obviously going to pick that up.
Who?
If they haven't already. Damian. I was wondering why I thought he was a free agent. He has an option.
Dude, did Damian just trick everyone into making him a top 3-round draft pick again?
I think just the people that were on him last year.
Oh my gosh! At this point, though, Kansas City needs to go out and address the running back again in the draft.
Yeah. This is why you don't draft before the draft.
But they can keep doing that. They don't need to pay a running back. They can just keep drafting running backs. They have with how mobile Patrick Mahomes is, they have no need to be like, we need a 10 overall pick on a running back. Like,
right. That's a plug and play position right there for KC.
Yeah, and that's gonna save. But I do think, with that said, and I hope with the new CBA that something will get done for running backs, because now they are treated, in my opinion, pretty unfairly to almost every other position.
Yeah, I agree.
For what they provide over that first.
What are they gonna do? Like force you to start someone? Like if you don't want to pay money for a running back, then don't pay money for a running back. Like that's smart business. I don't know what you can do to stop that.
I know you say like they're treated unfairly, and I'm not saying they're not, but like under the system, like. You're a Cowboys fan. You're happy you gave money to Zeke.
No,
that was like in retrospect,
but
it was kind of terrible. I mean, they need to change a lot, but it's not like the running backs don't deserve the money they have. In fact, it's anyone that's gotten paid recently. It's been an epic mistake.
But the thing is, it's an epic mistake because you've already given them 300 carries over the last 4 years when you're not paying them, and then when it comes time to pay them, you're like, haha, no.
Yep.
So
I think the thing that changes though is they've been doing it more recently, more so with quarterbacks. They need to do something where it allows people to maybe guarantee more money, or maybe give them some kind of a bonus that's off the cap or something. Like especially if you're re-signing your own guys, which I love in the NBA, you're allowed to like re-sign your own people for more money to prevent people from leaving. But there's something they got to get creative with this though, if they want to be able to handle this in a way where it won't affect the game too much. And it's tricky.
It's going to cause an entire holdout for all of next offseason, and I am not looking forward to it.
No, it's not going to be exciting.
And the XFL will just move on in.
What?
Yep.
Quick, before we have 1 minute left, quick. What if, just a quick solution, what if you give running backs a bonus if they have over 300 touches or 350 touches?
Because then you're... Like, this is why, like, scandals happen where people are throwing... people are going to bench you. It's going to be even worse. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Look at baseball. That whole thing, I don't know if anyone follows it, Chris Bryant, like, they have a whole thing in baseball where you have to have a certain amount of service time before you can start going to arbitration to get a raise and get more money. And teams just, intentionally keep you down because it's well within the rules. And it'll be the same thing. They'll say you're injured. You'll say you're not injured. They'll be like, well, you look injured. Our doctor says you're injured. It'll be a nightmare.
Alex Cora and Carlos Beltran need to be expelled from the MLB for life, by the way.
100%. And before we sign off, though, we're not getting expelled. But I do want to shout out some people. We got Mello joining in late. What's up, Mello? And Maui joining in, our resident Hawaii fan, who asks if we talked about Mariota and free agency. And I said we sure did, and I destroyed him.
He's going to win a Super Bowl with the Cowboys. I think that's what we landed on, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's where we landed on Mariota.
That's right. The final word on Mariota, if I'm not incorrect.
Super Bowl MVP, Dallas Cowboy Marcus Mariota.
You can go back and rewatch the show, Maui, if you want to hear all the hate for Marcus Mariota that I spat and all the love that Nick spat.
I don't love Marcus Mariota. I just
he loves him. And if you love this show, you can now actually check us out. Check us out at csdfantasy.com or Spotify or Apple Podcast. We're freaking everywhere now. There's literally so many platforms you can check us out that it's insane. YouTube is just one of them. You can go to Apple Podcasts. You can go to Breaker, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Spotify, or Anchor.com, csdfantasy.com. And y'all are having so much fun as I'm doing this, which is insane. You can check us out so many places. So if you missed the live airing, check us out on any of these platforms. There will be a link down below later on tomorrow here on this show. But guys,
Carl's so good at getting us everywhere that I feel like I'm gonna turn on my local radio and we're gonna be on there. I'm gonna be like, God damn, Carl, how'd you get us on there?
I was on with my congressman earlier today in front of 75,000 people. I'm on everywhere. I'm not lying.
Were you really?
Yeah.
That's a weird flex, but right on, man.
I'll do my thing. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Signing off for the Fantasy Rabbit Hole is Nick Faber, Matt, the Coin Master Williams, and CSD Fantasy. See y'all next time.
Peace.